From Sadhguruji. Uh, the first question that I want to ask is actually related to me. I'm in the last year of engineering, so now there is a very big decision that I have to make now, and people have told me that if I take decisions from my heart, I'll be successful in life. So, but there lies a problem. The problem is that I don't know which thought is coming from my heart and which thought is coming from my brain. So how can I figure out like which thought is from my heart and which is coming from my brain?
The heart makes only two sounds, lub-dub. Unless the local girls are disturbing it and it's going a little crazy. Otherwise it makes only two sounds. Rest of the noise is all coming from your head. This idea that something comes from the heart, something comes from the brain, it's metaphoric, but unfortunately a whole lot of people are taking it literally. There was a time in many parts of the world, particularly in Arabia, the medical science in Arabia believed the blood is pumped from the liver. You might have heard Urdu sayings about Kalija, have you? Because they believed blood is being pumped from the liver, because liver is a far more complicated organ than the heart. Heart is a simple pump. So do not give it any more responsibilities other than continuously pumping the blood and keeping you alive. Unless somebody here breaks it. So, about the last year of engineering, I want you to change that language because this happened. Can I tell you a joke? It's okay? You're pretty serious about this, that's why I'm asking. This happened. A very celebrated scientist was at a dinner and he was not grandly dressed or anything, he was looking very ordinary. So the lady who was, sitting next to him didn't pay much attention to him. She doesn't know who he is. But after some time, just to be polite, to make some conversation, "May I know what do you do?" He said, "I'm studying science." She said, "Oh, I finished that in my 10th class." So you're not going to, you're not in the last year of engineering, maybe the course, but not the last year of engineering, because for your entire life, if you learn engineering, when you're dying, after 100 years, okay? I'm not preponing it. After 100 years when you're dying, you would still know, if you're a constant learning process, you would still know you know very little about engineering. With that little, many things happen, that's different. So don't be in the last year of engineering. I know the program may be closing, but not the last year of engineering, okay? So, essentially engineering means to have things the way we want. Yes? When we say this building is well engineered, I'm not saying that. If we say this building is well engineered or an automobile is well engineered, what it means is, it's functioning the way we want. Yes? Of all the pieces of engineering on this planet, of many pieces of engineering, a tree is a fantastic engineering, even a mountain is fantastic engineering, because it stood there for 1,000,000 years, that means it must be good engineering, isn't it? Yes? Something that stands there for 1,000,000 years must be well engineered. Of all this, the most sophisticated piece of engineering is human mechanism, isn't it so? Hello? Most sophisticated. of all the pieces of engineering. Now, because it's a sophisticated piece of engineering, it needs a certain level of attention, otherwise you don't figure it. Now that we gave you such a highly, high-tech piece of engineering, I'm asking you, did you read the user's manual?
I think there is no user manual for now.
How can they make such a fantastic piece of engineering without a user's manual? Maybe it doesn't come with a booklet attached to your neck when you were born. But indications must be there, isn't it, how to use it? Huh? Is it true somebody who's an athlete or a gymnast or someone else like that learns to use their body than a whole lot of other people? Yes? Obviously, at least one aspect of the physical engineering of the body, they seem to have read the user's manual about the physical aspects. Is it true certain people are able to use their mind better than others? Maybe they read another part of the user's manual. So, now with this heart manual and the brain manual. See, the problem is most people are prejudiced against the brain. This is a question that always comes to me, Sadhguru, I want to meditate but thoughts are coming. The common question everywhere. I ask them, see, I'll make you meditate. We will stop the liver, we'll stop the kidney, we'll stop the heart, we'll stop everything, okay? Oh, no Sadhguru. So you want the liver to function when you're meditating. You want the kidneys to function. You want even the spleen to function, you want the heart to function. But you don't want your brain to function for some reason. This is simply because brain is a new equipment that you got in the evolutionary process. This level of cerebral development happened more recently compared to the other systems. If you cut open any mammal, they all have all these parts, isn't it? Every part that you have here, all of them have. Even if you open a frog, most of you, your biology department. Even if you open a frog, almost everything that you have, he also has, isn't it? It is only… the big difference is only the cerebral development, which is a more recent happening. Because it's a more recent happening, most people have not figured how to handle it. So, user's manual is very important. You don't read a user's manual just before you discard the machine. You read it in the first few days, isn't it? Hello? If you buy a phone, do you want to read the user's manual in the first 3 days or after 3 years when you're throwing it away? First 3 days, isn't it? So, knowing how this functions is very important. Never did ever heart generate any thought or intention. Well, when you looked at the young girl, heart beat more, that doesn't mean it's saying anything, it's just trying to compensate for the other levels of excitement that's happening. The heart is not trying to say anything, it is only compensating, you need more blood, so it's pumping little harder. That'll happen even if you run up the staircase. Yes? What happens to you little panting when you fall in love also happens physiologically when you run up a staircase, yes or no? Fear also does that to a whole lot of people. So, heart is not trying to say anything, it is just trying to make sure every part of the body gets the nourishment of blood flow. So, it's your brain speaking in different tongues. What's your native language? What's your mother tongue?
Assamese.
So, because when you know 2, 3 languages, sometimes it gets confused, sometimes it speaks in English, sometimes in Assamese, sometimes in something else. So you're thinking different people are speaking, heart is speaking, mind is speaking, no. There is thought and there is emotion. People think these two things are saying different things. They're not saying different things. The way you think is the way you emote, isn't it so? Right now, if I think, oh, she's the most wonderful person on the planet, I just have to think. Then my emotions become sweet towards her. Now I think she's the most horrible creature on the planet. Now my emotions become nasty. Yes or no? I cannot think she's horrible and have sweet emotions. I cannot think she's wonderful and have nasty emotions, isn't it so? But today I thought she's the most wonderful person and my sweetness was flowing. Suddenly she did something tomorrow that I don't like. I think she's horrible. Thought is agile, it changes direction just like that. Emotion is little sappy. It takes time to turn around. So that period you struggle as if there are two dimensions of thing happening. Because thought is saying one thing, emotion is still going sweet because it takes time to become nasty. Everybody struggles, but it catches up or no after some time? Hello? Today you thought she's wonderful, sweetness was flowing, tomorrow she did something you don't like, you thought she's horrible. The thought is clearly saying she's horrible, but emotions are struggling because they can't turn quickly. They take time to turn. But after a week or 10 days or 2 months, depending on how deeply you're engaged, after some time, emotion catches up with the thought. Emotion also says, yes, she's horrible, so let's be nasty to her. So they're not speaking different languages. One is agile, another is little slow in his corners.